Back to Nightingales, motorcycle restorers and metal finishers. We're going to do something a bit different today. We keep on getting asked for different projects and I'll talk you through some. This one today is on polishing. Now, polishing can get quite deep in depth, and as I say, with anyone out there who's a polisher, or you do polishing at home and you can do it, that's fantastic. But you might pick up a couple of tips on the way. I'm just telling you how we do it. We're not bothered how anyone else does it, but basically we're going to go through some parts what have just come. We've got lots of parts coming over the weekend from Cerakoting, ceramic coating, powder coating, but this is GT250 80s machine and in for polishing. So I've just phoned the customer now and asked him what he wants, and he wants it as we all say, rideable, nice and shiny. But it's not a concourse restoration. But that doesn't mean to say we're not going to treat it, because the process is exactly the same way. The little bit when you come to that fine tuning a restoration is how it actually came out the factory, especially with polishing. So you could be, like we call it, a sizzle finish. You could have a polish on certain Kawasaki's that we actually polish to a standard, and then we dip them in an alkaline to put a bluing on them. Or we could be doing kind of a sizzle finish on some of the fork legs. But this is just a nice, going to be a nice polished casings, plus the legs. So we'll go through the process we do in the workshops, and if you learn anything or you want us to do anything for you, we'll show you. So we'll do some cuts as we go to each piece of equipment. We won't go too long to the polishing room because it's quite boring and you won't be able to see anything. But we'll be showing you close-ups before and after, and some of the things we actually get up to and what you'll need. Now you might have at home, you might have a bench top machine, which is fantastic. The only trouble is with them, they slow you down a little bit when you put pressure on, put the brakes on, and you've got to watch you don't do any scorching of and the timing on it as well. Depending what level of, we work on a 1 to 10 on shine, and as I say, I'm going too deep technical because it really will get boring, but what you're looking for with any metal, be it titanium, brass, silver, anything we can do. We've got a wall of other accessories we use for these products, but this is aluminium, old school aluminium, Japanese aluminium, and some of them pick up fantastic, clean up mint. The only time we have problems if they've been previously polished and they've been scorched, or they've been picked up and they've got holes in them, where it's irreversible really, depending the depth of it. So what we'll do first is we'll go through inspection. So we'll get a close-up of the casing first. So it's a casing how it's just come in, and we'll get a close-up because we're able to do before and after. And what we'll do then is we'll just look at it, we inspect every part. Now the biggest problem with anything coming in, either crankcases or anything for any process, soda, fine walnut blasting, aqua vapor blasting, which we do many different glass colours in it, is grease. Now everything in our workshop has to be degreased. Obviously we've got ultra fine medias. Plus we've got to look at any silicons which have been put around, because any media will just bounce off it. And they all take time, you know, gasket removal, but it's part of the process. So what I'll do with this first, it's exactly how it's coming now. So we'll just do, now at this stage, it's hard really to see everything, but you will be able to see shortly. So on a visual inspection, all the casings and the lips look fantastic, which are hard to find on some of these, because a lot of them have gone down the road a few times. I can just see there's some indentations into this bit here, which we'll do a close-up on that one. But when we actually get it cleaned back, we'll be able to see it. So the case, on this case, it looks quite good. In fact, very good. All the identification's still there, which will still be there when we won't even touch it, because our medias are like talcum powder. So in a couple of minutes, I'll just go through a couple more pieces, some things we use, and then we'll go to our degreasing ultrasonic machine, 6,000 watt pulse bank machine, which it'll be degreased. So once we put it into the machine, we'll then put it into the oven. We'll gas it out just to get rid of any grease, anything else, because no matter what process we do, we need a clean part ready for identification. That's be what you'll see on the next video, and then we'll put it to which machine we're going for next. So, as we look at the fork legs, now again, these fork legs, original sticker on, fantastic. There's a few things I do when they come in, obviously then to grease. I just check all the threads and the nuts. Anything what's threaded into it, all be covered and blanked off when we clean it. And it's just to check that everything's right. So if I'm going to do anything, I might as well repair these now. But they're fine, these. So what these have got is a standard kind of your shiny finish with a original lacquer on it and a decal on there. So further on in the video, I'll be showing you how we do this. We haven't actually got any damage. Usually I have to bring them in, but I'm going to show you a little bit on damage repairs. I usually have to bring them in, and we do that on a process on really bad scuffs, which we like doing them. I usually know these straight off that the GT legs are usually on about 46, and on a turn they're on 44. So that's 45, 44. Right, and the reason we do this, if we have a scarring, and I will show you on this casing where we dress it from and line it back up, so we've always got the original shape, but usually they are a 44, 46, right the way around. Yeah, so we'll come back to them, but we'll carry on with this casing and just some other things, just might give you a few tips. If you're at home and you're trying to do a few bits and you've got your wheels and you've got some coloured soaps, you know, like blue, brown, want to be a cutting one, a medium, and a sharper one for just polishing off. We're no difference to you at home. We'll have a wall of these buffing wheels, felts, little mica wheels for getting in places when we've got to get right the way in, because our big wheels, and these are about 6 and 7 inches, have got up to 12 inches, and different grades, they don't get in. So you've got to have, people ask us all the time, how do we get into this? We're no different. We've got all these different types of which you can get. One of the best things you can ever invest in if you're doing it at home is some chalk powder. Basically just put some in a little bowl like that, dampen it off, a sponge, and wipe it over your part. Once it cleans your mops, keeps them nice and clean, it stops the grease going up on you as much, so you're not covered in black, and it also keeps the parts degreased. And it stops the waxes from getting in. So apart from that, on this, we might do a few more bits to this. We'll obviously be using some grinders probably. We'll be using, when we get this finished, we might even just finish this off by ultra polishing this to a nice finish. Then vapor this sign out. So this is just a bit of a frosted effect on the Suzuki. And then the background, which I will be doing, I'll probably put in with one of our ceramic ink pens and black this back in Suzuki, in the background of the Suzuki, to have it blacked out. We get a fantastic cut of the line. Don't think the customer's really bothered about that, but it'll just make the casing look nice. So we'll do one more close-up again on this, and then we'll take it to the ultrasonic machine. Just another thing on polishing is, you're trying to get all the time, it's trying to get the peaks right in the metal. So you've got your kind of your dissipated light, which is, we're saying we've got peaks in metal and they're going either way. We're trying to get it all one way, nice and smooth. And the idea is then we get the glow, the light, and the final finish. As I say, it can get deep, especially if you're into this. I mean, we've got some specialised stuff in the workshop from last week, which is Victorian brass, light fittings, and some stainless steel in, and there's different mops, different powders, different wheels, but because we're a motorcycle workshop, car restorer parts, this is what we'll be doing. So we'll take this over to the ultrasonic machine, get it clean, degreased, and then take it to the next process. Thank you. So we're on a double bank, frequency bank, big ultrasonic 6,000 watt machine. We're going to put this casing in and degrease it, because as I say, everything's got to be degreased what comes in the workshop. As soon as we do this, we'll go to the next process. So we're going to give this about 20 minutes and go from there. So we're degreased out the 6,000 watt ultrasonic pulse machine. Does a fantastic job. We're now going to put it into a dry bath cabinet, which is a mixed side, real light oxide, some fine glass I've got in it, and some very fine walnut. That'll just light the part up a little bit for me and be able to identify anything now for us to the next stage. So let's get it in the cabinet, get blasted off, and have a look at it then. Right, so we've just blasted this off in the dry blast cabinet, and as you can see by just putting a little bit of glass in it, it's just lit it up a little bit from the usual dull effect which oxides or walnut can give you. The idea is it's for me to identify any marks, but we're going on one further now. This would be the same process if you was going for your vapor blasting next. So it'd probably do a little bit of work on it and put it to vapor blasting to get your vapor blast finish. But we are going for polishing, but I am going to put it in the vapor blast machine, because with the media I've got in at the moment, it's what we call like a 70s bling. We do several glasses from, I've probably spoke in the past, like Laverda colour, Harley colour, Guzzi colours, and you can achieve it with different colours of glass and different media. So we'll put it back in, and once we bring it out, we'll give it a rinse, we'll dry it, and we'll put it to the bench now to see any of these scars before we go on to the next process. So we'll just whip it into the vapor blaster. You might as well have a look at this while it's working. Okay. So I'm going to go over the scars a bit, which I think it has got. The reason I'm doing this again, it's just so I can see any marks, identify any marks. Go around the outer edge where your gasket's going to go on the inside. It's just a personal thing. When you get it back, it makes it look nice and clean and fresh for you to work on. So right, we'll have a look at this. We'll take it out, we'll give it a quick rinse. You can rinse it in the machine, but I have separate tanks with neutral detergent in. And then we'll just put an airline on it. We'll take it to the workbench and we'll start to identify it next. So right, so we've come across to a workstation now just to identify any marks which I was looking at earlier on. By putting it in the vapor blast, it's just lit it up a bit more. Also, the two processes I've just been through there, it's also kind of peens the metal up, makes it smoother. So now I'm going to have a quick look. So if we get close up here to where I thought we had, we've got this area here, we've got this little bit there, we've got a touch there, we've got a lip on there, but it hasn't damaged the outer edge, which is good. Usually what I do is just scratch over it with a felt tip pen and then rub it into it, and it might just show it up more on the camera lens for you there. Look, you might just be able to see it now. That's it, it's lit it up. Right, so I need to work on this, this and this. The rest of the casings are fantastic. As you can see also by the media we use, we don't use lose any identification. It's like talcum powder, and if it was in for vaping, you could see the kind of finish you're going to get once we've done this kind of process. But this is going for polishing. So there's a couple of things I'm just going to say. I'm going to show you, I'm going to take these out with a air gun and some and whiz these out and show you when I finish. What I tend to do is, because the way they are, same as a fork leg, I take an area onto here, I'll take this off and here, and instead of going harsh at one area, I'm going to take it across from here without touching the inner edge or the outer edge, so you won't be able to see the repair. I'll blend it into there and take these out completely, hopefully anyway, and then show you when that's finished. I'll just go for another little trick which we kind of look at. I didn't expect for 1 minute, but this hasn't had any previous work, anyone on a bench top or a machine. It was original, but just a little tip which I was saying earlier on polishing. if you are at home and you've got a bench top machine, obviously we're on a 3-phase big Cannings machine, and you're going through your pads. So if your machine's in front of you like this now with 2 wheels, and you've got your different wheels, which you probably have an harsh one, a medium one, and a polished one, like I said earlier. So don't ever omit the cut. 1, 2 and 3, do them all, you've got to, right? Because the idea is we're trying to polish everything out, the peaks of the metal to get the smoothness. Again, if you use what I said, the chalk powder, it's great because it keeps your wheels clean. These are dirty wheels, but we have cleaning brackets to put on these which clean them up. So just a couple of tips. Always keep your product in the centre, right? Because if it bites you, you can be over and it'll tuck you over. If it does, it pulls you in, you know, and it still happens to me after years of polishing different stuff. About 2 months ago, I nearly removed my little finger. It took all the skin, the sleeve, right down to the tendons. It caught me out. They still bite you, no matter if you're on one at home or a big commercial one like we have in the workshop. But the little tip is, you see most people will get a part, and what they'll be doing is they'll be doing this, right? So they're actually cutting and polishing. So my advice to you is just simply, the machine's going round. So what you do is, if you just think of the floor as rotary polishing, cleaning, polishing, and you think of your chin as shaving, cut, what you want to start doing, your first process on your first rough wheel will be to cut, up to your chin, cut, right? Then you go on to your second wheel, cutting it, especially if you've got indentations or marks you're trying to take out, cut, looking up, straight up. And then for polishing, your final thing, go back through your processes again, which will be on a smoother wheel now, and either you'll be on some soaps, you might be on a lighter coloured soap, on a softer wheel like one of these. You need to be down for polishing. Don't just stand there cutting and polishing. You'll probably find you'll just go blacker, your parts will go blue, and if you're on one of the more domestic-y type machines, just try and lay off it a little bit so you don't scorch anything, because that's the only trouble. You put the pressure on and the machine's slow right down, you can get burn marks, scorch marks. But on something like ours, it'd pull you through the machine before you'd stop it. So that's just a tip on your wheels. So we're just going to run this over on here, and we'll show you another picture of this guy. I'll just show you it close up again so you can see the mark close up. Right, and there again, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Cheers. Right, so we've done some work on this casing. There was about 12 little marks altogether, and quite a deep one at the front and the lower ridge. So there's a couple of things, especially on Suzuki case. I've done loads of these as well. And again, we're talking about different restorations. When you're talking back to, like I said earlier, when you're going for sizzle finish and lacquering, or you're going for the man who's just a rideable, collectible, nice little bike, or a polishing like we're doing with this one, you've still got to take a lot of these out because it'll only highlight it. It's like not putting a primer on a painted surface, you know, it hides a lot of things. So we have to take it out. So there's a couple of things. In the early days, as a tip, if you're doing a lot of these, or you want to have a go yourself, and you don't want to bring them into a shop, then the gadget you get for carpet, for lino, on your skirting board, you put it in, and it's like a little serrated bars, and it makes the shape of the skirting so you can cut round it. It's great when you're practicing because you can put it on and push it up to it, and you get 3 or 4 different shapes, which this is what it's all about. It's not just staying on one area, because you will just put an indentation on it or you lose an edge. Very hard to pull back. I do pull back a few, which people unfortunately have made a few mistakes with. That's a good way of just keeping yourself in line and keeping it steady. The next thing is, if you've got any ridges out, if you get the smooth end of a drill bit and you put it into the grooves and you click it in and you run it round, go 50% like that, and then 50% the other way. And if you haven't tightened up on it, you'll know you haven't got a ridge you haven't pushed into it. The other thing on the Suzuki casings, on this particular edge, is you've got a lip coming in, you've got a bevel, and you've got a dip. And this, from this to the Suzuki sign, is actually bevel. So if you stayed on all this, you would actually lose the curvature. So there's a little bit of playing around on it. So that's the stage we've got it to. Now, some of the marks which are in, you haven't got to confuse, because you might say someone's taking away its originality, especially restorers, because you've got to recognise casting mark, flow marks, which is like a spider mark. and also salt, because salt was a big erosion. So you're trying to, depends the customer, you get a feel for the customer to what standard they're doing. As I say, this casing in general is lovely. So what we're going to do is, I have to go back to the first process of an ultrafine media. And the reason is because sometimes I go back 5, 6, 7 times. So what I've done now is the first shot at it. I'm going to go back to the media and I'm going to side swipe it. I'm going to turn the pressure down to about 25, 30 psi and side swipe the part, because some people might say they've had parts oxide blasted and all and had indentations. Well, we don't use chilled iron or heavy oxides, it's like talcum powder. But by side swiping it and turning it down, we're coming across it, the pass, and then I'll bring it out, I'll show you it, and I'll show you our first attempt. We might be happy with it, we might not be. I think it's looking good, because we did have some deepies there in that side. So we'll move back to a dry blasting machine, and in this one I've got, if I was doing this surface and we were going onto a ceramic coating, I won't be using any glass or anything, I'd be using mild oxides, ultrafine oxides, to key for a ceramic finish. But with this, we're just blasting across, and it's just to kind of wet the surface and put a shadow on it. Then we'll have a close-up on it. So we'll go back to the dry plaster, and then eventually, hopefully, we'll do a bit of a prep on it, and that's before it gets to the polishing room. So we'll have a look now. Right, so I'm going to do this in real time. So as I say, we've got the part, we've taken back, either with the diamonds. You may have papers, 800s, 2000s, which is just your process at home if you haven't got an array of discs and diamonds or anything to cut back. So we'll put this in now. As I say, we're on ultrafine, like talcum powder, and we're going to do a side swipe. So we're going to keep the lance away from the part, and we're going to dust it over. You know, it's a big thing when people are blasting, they get bored and they stand there and they blow holes in things. We couldn't, because our media's too far. But when we prep car wheels or motorcycle wheels, we do the same process, except we take off powder coat with an ultrasonic dipping tank. So right, let's get this blasted over. Right, we'll move back onto the bench then and have a look at it. Right, so we're straight out the dry blaster. Again, we've just flashed over it to see the work we've done. We've had one attempt back in the blaster, as I said, sometimes 5, 6, 7 goes to have a look. So we'll get a close-up shot now of the casing and see any damage which was there. The ridge gone off there and the indentation in there. As you can see, it's back to perfect. The perfect bevel, the shape coming up, the typical Suzuki as it risked onto a ridge. The bevels are bevels. None of it's been damaged because how we prepared it. Now the thing is, when we do these fronts, you need, and when you're drawing lines down, if you do it yourself, you need to start back about 3 inches from where you're starting the main bit what's damaged, so you can blend it in. Again, the little gadget I said is great for putting over there, if you're doing it yourself. If not, you can bring it into a shop. We're based in Scarborough, North Yorkshire. Telephone number's 01723 370 399. And what we do is we offer a mail order service back to you, so you ship the parts into us, comes into the office, and then we'll assess them, see what you actually want. But this is to the standard. If you or we was restoring your bike in here, be it for restoration, bling, original, lacquered, sizzle finish, that is it. Some of my customers, I have one customer alone on an RD400, and he can spend an hour and a half at a show looking under the seat of a motorcycle. So when we talk about being quite anal on what we're doing, we're on about when the looms come down, the sticker, where it came in, where the pins went through, the battery box where it sits, all the original NE stickers identification. It's that sad in a way. It goes that way, it goes almost over the top. But this casing is now to the next stage, so we still haven't reached the polishing room yet. So what we're going to do next is give this a going over with some of the wheels I showed you early on. We get into all the individual corners and everything, because your big buffing wheels can't get in, no matter if you're on 4-inch or 12-inch mops. And then we'll probably do a bit round here on the lip. Again, some of the salt marks, when you get indentations, we can take out on the wheels. And the Mocklin we try and leave in a little bit as well. But the main thing is this fascia. I will be, as I said, just lighting up the Suzuki, and with one of our ceramic coat pens, be either blacking in the back so it stands out, so it looks quite cool when it's finished. But I'll show you after the next stage now, and then it's one more, and that's into the polishing room. So give us a bit and we'll show you straight back on this one. Right, so we've give this a prep now before it goes into the polishing room, which we'll actually do in the morning now. So as soon as we get in the morning, we'll clean back. I do leave a paste on it overnight, so what I've really done is probably the equivalent now of you coming in with some 800s and breaking it down before we go on to 3 wheels in a commercial polishing machine. Basically tomorrow when I come in, I'll just put a bin over it with a sponge. We'll get around it a little bit, and it'll just take it off just when it's dry. I leave this on overnight. It's a product I use. I mix it with water, we put it on, it goes to a paste, and we wipe it on, it darkens off. Things get worse before they get better, but now it's prepped, ready to go to the polishing room. We have used a few smaller things just in the eyelets and that, and round the back to give it a chance. We're happy with the finish now and everything, so tomorrow's video I'll just show you where we catch up from. I'll take it straight into the polishing room tomorrow, so I'll show you the finished product when it comes back out. So let's have a look at it when we've done that. Thank you. Right, so we've carried on from yesterday's video. As you saw, as we're prepping it all, we said first job this morning coming in, we'd start and put it through a 3 cut. What we're going to do now, we'll take it over to the bench, I'll get a quick change. I'll just do a little bit of lime chalk powder around the little circles and that, where the Allen screws go, just to clean it up. Give it a microfiber off, and what I'll do is I'm going to cover it over the Suzuki emblem, because I said I might do something with it. I was going to vapor blast it. I'm going to do another trick with a lining pen now, just to finish it off. Once I've done that, I'll stand it back, let you have a look at it and see what you think. Right, we'll be back in a few seconds. Right, we've had a clean down. We just covered the part up now, because as I said, there's a few little things I can do around the Suzuki. Sometimes I do the lettering in blue, or people want the background in black. I'm just going to get a ceramic pen, which we use for lining in. And I'm using I'm going to do the background. I could have vapored it to give it, but I think if I just do it in silver, this silver actually, it's a Glacier silver, it's a C-series, so there's no resin in it, so it'll air cure in 24 hours and 5 days to totally dry. But I'm just going to do the background with it quick, and then I'm going to put the full finished project on a piece of paper, let you have a look at it and see what you think. So I'll just load this pen. Right. I'm just colouring the background, leaving the Suzuki polished. Just flooding it a little bit. And the thing is, this finish, it's petrol resistant and brake fluid resistant. About 1200 centigrade, so it just finishes it off. So I'll just dab that out. Right, so we'll just set it out, come back in 30 seconds and have another look at the finished job hopefully. Thank you. Right, I think we're finished with this project. We'll start on the fork legs and a few other bits for the customer now. But as I say, if you've got anything to send us, you can do it in the post. You can also give us a ring, give the office a ring, 01723 370 399, and see if there's any particular project you want us to have a look at. Through this stage you've seen, you could have had it warmed up blasted, you could have had it vapor blasted, you could have even sent to me to take scars out, bad scars, and I'll give you it back so you can polish it or do what you want. So we'll let you have a look at it now. As I say, I've just done the background with a bit of ceramic paint. Have a close-up of the casing and then round to this side. So I think we're happy with that. The thing I would say is people often say when you clean things to polish them like this, how do you keep them clean? The secret is as long as you don't use any strong motorcycle cleaners, I'd just go for neutral detergent, washing up liquid, lukewarm. As I say, once the metal's peened and it's all back and polished, it's easier to maintain, so it's a bit of a myth that it's hard. The only thing I would say is go for a powder polish rather than something in a tube, because it's very abrasive. There's a certain one which is banned in this workshop. It's too rough. So you can maintain them, but you can imagine when you get something like this Suzuki engine with the heads done and matched with a bit of vapouring and polishing and some other bits done. Every customer's different. As I heard someone say it wasn't like that when it was new, but if you want it like it was new, we can do anything. We can lacquer it, we can go any sizzle polishing, band polishing, and get you any detailing. So I hope you like this one. I'm happy with that. Thanks very much.